Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's keeping nice and dry. It seems much more pleasant indoors today than it was yesterday. On the show today, we've got Angela from Giacom, who's our resident, not resident, but our Copilot expert here. Contrary to popular belief, neither me or Angela are actually AIs, as Nitin Sharma would like to put it. Yeah, great. The session today will take us through some of the apps around Microsoft 365 that we covered in our Microsoft 365 workshop last week, and how Copilot can help you get more out of those apps, and so on. So we'll cover things like Excel, Forms, Loop, and towards the end, in the Q&A session, I will take you through some of the other apps that I use on a day-to-day basis that also have integration with Copilot. But some of the demos that Angela's prepared are predominantly around Excel, Forms, Loop, and a few other new things that have been introduced into the environment. We're going to give it a couple more seconds before we kick off, just to make sure that we've got everyone in. Yeah. We'll kick off at 1:33. In the meantime, if you do want to ask any questions, please do raise your hands or put it into the Q&A. And then finally, at the end of the meeting, during the Q&A session, we will allow you to talk on mic if you have further things to probe us on. Okie dokie. With that note, I'm going to pass you over to the lovely Angela to take you through the demos.
Thanks so much, Kan. So yeah, as Kan mentioned, we had a couple of webinars previously focusing on specific applications. So we're kind of covering all the other applications we haven't spoken about yet in terms of what Copilot can do within them. So Copilot, Kan has already kind of touched on this. So the main ones I'm going to be focusing on is Excel, Forms, the main Copilot interface, which is Copilot Chat, and then some other things that aren't actual like icons within this slide, but hopefully you'll find that interesting. So first of all, I'm going to start off with Excel. Don't worry, if you're not Excel savvy, nor am I, but I've managed to create a demo for you with the use of Copilot. So you can be a basic to moderate user and still start to use Copilot within Excel to extract certain insights out of raw data, data sets, etc. So I'll play the video and I'll tell you what's going on my worksheet. So I've got a table with employees' names, what regions they're covering to place roles, how many roles they've covered within the month, their average time to place the roles, and average salaries overall for placing roles within the month. It needs to be in a table format for Copilot to actually extract information, so make sure it is in table format. You open up Copilot on the top right hand side. You can speak to Copilot if you want to, speech to text. I've clicked on suggested prompts, so it opens up like a library, and you can save your prompts if you want to. If you're constantly using the same thing over and over again, you can save them and it's just easier to locate. I'm actually going to click on a suggested prompt, which is create a formula column. So what that means is Copilot is going to look at what you've got existing within your table and what else you can include. In this case, it's talking about roles per region. So it's collated everything from each region and which ones are the highest and lowest, etc. So that's something that you may have not thought of, and Copilot can give you that helping hand on what else you can include within your table. Let's go a little bit further. So the next thing I'm going to ask Copilot to do is create me some icons against the average salaries placed. So anything above 40K, I want it in like a traffic cone system. So red, green, amber and green as well. So as you can see, Sarah Wilson her average salary placements are about 50K, which says she's above average. Some are below, one is 19K. So it's just a little bit easier on the eye in order to start to pick up what's going on your table. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that suggested column that Copilot has created, which is the roles per region. And I'm going to ask Copilot to create a color system. It's actually called color scale, but you can just talk in natural language and Copilot understands what you're trying to say. So I just said, put it into a color system. And that's exactly what Copilot's done. Click apply. I've put it into order. So you can see the top regions are in green. And as you scroll down, it's getting to brighter red for, the least roles placed per region. So Scotland isn't doing too well. Don't look too much into this data. This is like a demo data. So, you know, some of the numbers might not make too much sense, but this is just for demo purposes. The next thing I'm going to show you is I actually have clicked on a suggested prompt on this. I just recorded a little bit too late, but I clicked on, can you create pivot tables and charts? So those of you that don't know how to create a pivot table, again, you're not alone. I don't either, but Copilot has helped me create that pivot table for me. So it's talking about roles placed per region and the region itself. It creates another sheet for you within your worksheet. And as you can see, it's a lot more easier on the eye to have a pivot table so you can filter through. I want a visual representation, so I kind of want a graph as well. So I'm just asking Copilot, can you create me a visual graph? If you want a specific graph, just mention that in your prompt. Say, you know, you want a correlation between salaries and regions, etc. But I just wanted just something that Copilot will suggest. So it has gone off the pivot table, so against region and roles placed per region. It can be edited, so don't feel like it's a static graph. So you can click onto it, you can change the axes. So whether you want to compare one to another column, you can do that, and immediately Copilot will update that for you. So it just gives you a helping hand. Although you might already know how to create graphs and pivot tables and do conditional formatting, you know, highlighting things from a table, just asking Copilot to do it just gets you there a lot faster. So you can start digesting what's going on that table, and then you can feed that back to whoever you need to, the senior leadership team or the company, etc. Still on Excel, those of you that are a little bit more advanced, you can ask Copilot, as you can see, I've typed in, create me a dashboard using Python. I can't do Python coding. You don't have to know how to do Python coding. That's very advanced, deep analysis. And that's what Copilot will do. So it will do Python coding. It will tell you its workings out. It will tell you what table it's looking at, and it will create you a dashboard as well. So those of you that has Power BI or business intelligence, it's kind of like a similar version, but within Excel. So I'll just expand on the visual representations. And it looks like it's images, but they aren't images. Every time you update the table, let's say somebody placed another 10 roles within that month, the dashboard would update automatically. So you can constantly have a look at the dashboard and see where everybody's at based on regions, based on salaries, etc. You know, whatever you use Excel for, you can create dashboards. So just make sure you say using Python, or there is suggested prompts as well saying can you do deeper analysis, and then it will give you a little bit more a richer response as opposed to something quite basic. So that's Excel. It's not just about Excel in this webinar, so I'm going to move on to the next application. The next application I'm going to talk about is forms. So you should have forms included within your existing license that you have right now, and it's all about creating surveys and questionnaires, etc. So we can get Copilot to create that for us rather than thinking of what questions to ask your audience, etc. So I've asked Copilot to create me a customer satisfaction survey to understand what are you know, basically our candidates' experience going through the whole process of screening, interviewing, etc. Keep some open-ended questions, and literally as I'm talking, within seconds, Copilot has created me that survey. And again, it's not static. You can edit them as you wish. You can change the title. You can move the questions around, change the order of it. So it's not just Copilot has created that for you, and you just need to use it as it is. It is called Copilot at the end of the day, so it's supposed to work with you. So that's forms. I haven't actually clicked on suggestions at the top because I asked Copilot to create me a survey. But if you can see, although this demo has finished, it does say I have 4 suggestions for you in that form. If you did create a survey, maybe even in the past, and you have Copilot, you can click on the suggestions and Copilot will help you to improve your survey. So what else you can include, how to reach more people to fill out these questionnaires, etc. It will just give you a little bit of feedback on what's included already and what else you can include. Right, Loop. This probably is an educational piece as well for some people. So Loop is included within your license and it's all around project planning, brainstorming with a group of people. You can have several different pages focusing on different projects, different requirements, and share them with your colleagues so you can collaborate and work together on those pages if you want to. So I'm going to show you how to use Loop within for Copilot as well. So you just go on to loop.cloud.microsoft.com and you'll see something like that looks like this. You create a page as you want, and I'm asking Copilot to create me a table because I just want to chase my team up about where they are at with placing certain roles, how long is it going to take, so add some comments, etc. However, Copilot hasn't given me exactly what I wanted, but don't worry, you don't have to delete it and start again, just tweak it. So go back to Copilot and I'm just saying, I didn't want this table pre-populated. And can you also add a comment at the bottom saying they need to complete this by the end of the day? So Copilot is updating it, just like if you had to just update a colleague saying, actually, I needed a bit more information rather than, start again, I don't want you to feel underwhelmed and not go back to an application just because you feel like Copilot hasn't given you a response that you really wanted. It's just about bettering your prompts and adjusting. As I was speaking, there is something called a loop component. So you can copy an area of this page. You don't have to share the entire page with anyone. You can copy an area. So in this case, I copied the table and the instructions at the bottom, and I pasted it onto a Teams chat. So for all these people to start to fill out the information, and in real time, you will see it be updated. So you don't have to keep updating it. Just because you've pasted this into a Teams chat, you don't have to keep updating it back into your loop. It will just do it itself. So it's synchronized and you can just leave it alone and then come back to it after your lunch, and then hopefully all of your colleagues has filled in that table. So you can create Kanban boards on there as well. So give it a go if you haven't used Loop yet. And obviously if you have got Copilot or you're looking to adopt Copilot soon, it will create you content a lot more faster. So that's Loop. The next thing that I want to mention is Copilot Chat. So Copilot Chat is like your main go-to Copilot interface. So yes, Copilot is integrated within the applications that I mentioned, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, etc. But what if you just wanted to ask a general question, not specifically with Word documents? You should go to Copilot Chat, and it will still have that protection, that data protection that you really want for business purposes. So when you go onto Copilot Chat, which is within your Teams or over the web, you will have 2 toggles, work and web. And web is just accessing things over the web, but it will just pull information. It won't leak anything out. And then work is looking into your internal documents as well. Again, you can have a look at the prompt gallery. You can change the filters saying, I work in HR. You can choose, you can save your prompts and go. So every time you can refer back to it, you can save your favorite prompts there. If you want a certain prompt, if you just click onto it, it will pre-populate into your prompt box. So it's very seamless. But I've actually deleted that and I've written my own prompt. And I'm just saying, can you summarize all of my emails and my meetings that I've had for the past 2 weeks? Any action items? Can you put it into a table? Please ignore the bottom of my prompt because I wanted to make sure that I'm not leaking any internal information. So I've just made sure that it, everything is for demo purposes. That prompt is something that I probably can use on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and you can schedule your prompts. You don't have to ask Copilot this all the time. You can schedule it once a month, once a week, up to 15 times, and for a certain time of the day. And Copilot will do that automatically. So if you wanted it every Monday, just schedule it here, and then every Monday Copilot will run that prompt, and the response will come back into your Copilot chat. So you'll constantly get your reminders with whatever prompts you constantly use. And then you can go to those three little dots, I don't know what they're called, and then you can have a look at all of your scheduled prompts if you want to delete it, turn it off for now, etc. So that's actually a new feature to schedule prompts. So as you can see, some things are becoming a little bit more automated to get rid of those repetitive tasks. So yes, Copilot can help you speed things up, but it can speed things up a lot more faster if you're constantly asking the same questions to Copilot as well. So I thought that was quite interesting. Right. This isn't specifically recruitment related, but I do think this is quite useful as well when it comes to upskilling or just digesting information a lot more quickly. And this is notebooks. So notebooks is all about note taking. So anybody that uses OneNote, obviously you have different pages and different notes on different topics, etc. Similar to notebooks, but there is a bit of a twist on this. So I've created one page all around the adoption of Copilot, so like the art of prompting, how to prompt good, etc. I've uploaded all of my PDFs, my PowerPoint slides, my documents, and then you can instruct Copilot. So you can tell Copilot, I want you to answer my these questions in a specific way, tone of voice. I want it to be formatted like this, like in bullet points, etc. And then you can, every time you have like a meeting, you can add your notes directly to that page as well. So just click on pages, write whatever you like, and then it's included within your notebook. The good thing is, I'll just put myself on mute.
Hey there, welcome to today's overview. We're diving into this exciting landscape of Microsoft 365 Copilot. It feels like we're in for a really interesting ride, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great day for an in-depth look at how these tools are reshaping our work.
Exactly. We're going to explore what Microsoft 365 Copilot is all about.
So
From
what
its
you
core
just heard,
capabilities.
hopefully you've all heard that, and your laptops weren't on mute, but obviously you're listening to me, so it's not, is a podcast. And it's a podcast of two AI individuals, I guess a female and a male, talking about everything you've uploaded within your page. So that's why I'm saying it's a lot easier to digest content if you feel like it's better to like watch videos and things like that rather than read paragraph after paragraph. Just click on create audio and you can listen to a podcast as you're working. If you've got a little bit of downtime, it will create a podcast based on your notes and your uploaded documents. So I thought that was quite cool. Right, the last demo that I'm going to show you is Create, which is in the same place as where Notebooks is. And anybody that does like marketing, or you want to start to increase, your presence when it comes to social media, then you can start creating content within Create. You can create images, you can create videos, you can create banners, all AI generated, and you can tweak them constantly until you get your preferred your ideal result. So I'm just going to click on learn. So I like that one, and it gives you like a prompt of what was included within that image, and you can change the entire prompt if you want to, but I'm just changing the word learn to Copilot. And you can change the colors. If you have your own branded color scheme, you can upload your colors. So when Copilot creates you an image, it would use your own colors, your branding, your logo. You can upload your logo. You can change the size of it. And as you can see, it actually takes a little bit longer than this. I fast forwarded this, but it's basically like baking a cake. You'll see the process of it being created, and as you can see, it's used the colors that I wanted, but you can tweak it further. On the right hand side, you can say Copilot, I'm saying I want to change the background to pink. Can you have a look at this logo and maybe embed it within this image as well? And same thing applies. You'll see the process of it being created, and eventually it will create you an image. So really good for marketing purposes if you want to upskill, if you want to start to post more things on LinkedIn or your websites or emails, etc. Right, I think I've whizzed through that. I don't know if I've even had a breath since we started this webinar, but hopefully you found these demos useful. We've gone through, I guess, the first 3 webinars already. The last one is next week, which is all around agents, so please don't miss that. That's probably the cherry on top when it comes to Copilot. I'm going to pass it back to Kan because I feel like he's probably got a couple of things up his sleeve in terms of how he uses Copilot, which he'd like to share with you.
Absolutely. A few things actually. I'm going to pick back up on the whole. I am audible, hopefully. A few things that I'm going to pick up on are Excel, and then I'm also going to show you guys a few bits and bobs around other applications that Angela hasn't covered, but are also available within the Microsoft Stack. So I'm going to share my screen, hopefully Teams permitting. Bear with me 1 second. Excellent. There is no sensitive data here on the screen, so I have anonymized it with the help of Copilot. So you can see these prompts that I've been going through to kind of help me remove names and stuff like that from these lists, right? So as Angela mentioned, you don't have to be an Excel guru to kind of use Excel anymore. You can use Copilot to help you come up with prompts. Sorry, not prompts, but come up with formulas, or even explain formulas that are in an Excel spreadsheet already for yourself. So for example, I used Copilot to kind of strip this LinkedIn column here, which is the LinkedIn URL for these people that I have been communicating with on LinkedIn via DuckSoup. And also to kind of shorten the name so that they're anonymized when I'm actually displaying this to you guys at the moment. To do that, all I did was I said, okay, look, Copilot, I need to remove everything out from this column. You can see down here somewhere all the workings that I've had to try and kind of, limit the characters, remove certain things, and it does it for you. So it'll tell you, okay, so this is the formula you need. You can literally copy it and paste it into the cell where you want to display your stuff. It can also analyze existing formulas that are inside those cells. So if you don't understand quite what's going on, it can tell you what's going on. Another one I can do quickly, for example, here. So I can say Copilot, ask Copilot. So it's going to come up here. Can you help me extract the town from this cell? This is usually first item before a comma. So it'll work through and find a formula that will actually do that for me. Obviously, with Copilot and any generative AI, you need to give it what you want to happen and how you want your results to be displayed in order to give you the best results. So here, for example, it is come up with this formula. I can insert a column. If I do that now, it'll insert a column to the end to extract from this field the results that we want. Hopefully it works and doesn't fall lower. And there we go. It's still doing it. You can see that London's come up here. It has extracted the first item, essentially. Okay, so other things I wanted to do actually was I kind of say, look, here's a list of all the campaigns that this person's been on. I want to try and get that information into a certain format. Again, I'm not going to try this on here right now, but again, things you can do, and perhaps with the Python integration that Angela mentioned a few minutes ago. I've also got some sample financial data. Again, here, this is downloaded directly from Microsoft, so apologies. So what I can do here is say create a graph showing all of the units sold against the products. So it will create a graph based on the products and the total number of units sold, for example, for that product, and put it into a new sheet for me. Again, one of the key points is that the data has to be in a table, and here you go. It will then ask me to add it into a new sheet once it's finished doing it. Right, there we go. And here's my table. Okay, so it really comes down to knowing what you want to get out of that Excel data. And again, when Angela meant table, it's essentially highlighting the area that you want as a table, going into insert and inserting a table, which at the moment it's not going to let me because it's already a table. But if what wasn't a table, you can insert it through that. Now, more interesting things lie ahead. I'm going to take you through some of the other apps that Copilot works within the Microsoft stack. And I don't use Whiteboard as much. Angela, do you use Whiteboard as much?
I would say out of all of the applications that Copilot integrates with, I would say Whiteboard is good, but it's still a little bit limited to what it can do and what you want it to do within Whiteboard. But obviously Can's going to demonstrate that to you today. So let's have a look.
I'm not going to pick Whiteboard. I'm not going to pick Whiteboard because it's one of the things that I've not really used myself that much. What do you use it for?
So what Copilot can do is it can start to create buckets for you. So if you're generating ideas on, I don't know, how to combat climate change or something like that, it will start to create buckets on like how you can start to do that. But then it's not going to go further than that. It's just going to give you ideas like topics of conversations, and then you will have to discuss that yourselves with your group. It won't be able to like talk about like what questions you can ask, etc. So that's why I feel like it's a little bit limited. It will give you ideas of what you can start to talk about, so brainstorm, but that's about it.
Yeah, so essentially, Whiteboard is essentially a brainstorming tool. That's what its purpose is, and you can kind of have these what are these things called mind maps and stuff drawn in there. So that's a tool that's available in the Microsoft stack. Going back, it isn't available in Visio, so there's no Copilot in Visio. Copilot does exist in Power Automate, so you can describe Power Automate flows, and it will generate a flow. So for example, here I can say, can you generate a flow to extract CV attachments from my mailbox and place them into a OneDrive folder each time a new email arrives from, I'll just say no reply at Indeed. Okay, so it can then generate that flow for you, hopefully. It's asking me a bit more information here. Oh, hang on. Hate live demo sometimes. It can be a bit tricky. So you can see there it generated the trigger, but I can actually, if I described it properly rather than a quick description like this, if I were to describe the process I wanted in its entirety, it would have created this. And we have done it a number of times before on other flows. But again, we can go into this in more detail with more time if you wanted on a one-to-one session. But the idea is that you can use Copilot within Power Automate without knowing how to use Power Automate to actually generate flows or get you started at least on your journey. It can also help you troubleshoot flows. So we use it, say, for example, if there's an issue with a flow, why is this failing? It'll give you ideas, etc. And here as well, anyway, it's told you which trigger to use, what conditions to add in, and you can actually go back and forth and tell it to do those things for you. Copilot is also available within OneNote. So I have here, I know we are on the dot on time-wise at the moment, but you can use the dictate function and Copilot here to kind of generate things inside OneNote as well. So I know a lot of you do use OneNote, so that there is function out there. So for example, to summarize whatever the content is there, for example, if you download the notes and so forth. So it's a bit like how it works in Word or Outlook in that sense. Copilot is also available within Planner, but on the Planner Premium version. So it can actually generate, for example, a skeletal plan for you based on what you describe it to be. So for example, you would go into Copilot here and say, can you please generate the necessary buckets and plans for a, I don't know, candidate onboarding process. I can try it. Obviously, this is on the fly, so apologies if it doesn't generate the results the first time around. So again, Copilot does have lots of updates on an almost weekly basis that come into play. Microsoft keep updating it, so stuff that we say today may be outdated tomorrow, and there may be more features that come into play. So what we will try and do at the end of the next session is kind of highlight a few of the items that have been released in June and July, for example, and what is in store to come in the future. But here, as you saw, I mean, it may not be perfect, but if you were to give it the right context, it could generate a form without you having to manually, obviously, put in all these tasks, for example, into the buckets, etc. Coming back to the biz chat, most of you who don't have the Copilot, what do you call it, paid version, if you go into your portal.office.com, it now diverts you to the biz chat. You wouldn't have the work tab up here, you would only have the web tab, and that's where you can access the kind of enterprise protected version of Copilot. This is actually a, if you're putting in sensitive data and stuff, this is a better place to put it into than putting it into the free version of ChatGPT, for example. Okay, now, anyone has any questions, please raise their hands or submit them on the Q&A. We'd be happy to take that, or I will be. I don't know about Angela's time limits at the moment, because we're about 2 minutes over our scheduled time now. Have any questions or dive into anything that you may need any clarifications on? Oh, new question here. Yeah, Alita, I can allow mic for you. Bear with me a second. There you go. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. So, new question. I thought I had the pro version, but I've actually just checked, and I do actually have the work edition. But it looks like on my PC I'm signed in on my Gmail account as opposed to my Microsoft account. But when I try to sign in, it says that the account doesn't exist. So maybe a tech support question, but it looks like the reason I can't have the full access. So for example, when I went onto Excel, I couldn't see that additional what do you call it, Excel for Finance or whatever it was button that Angela was hovering over. I could only see Copilot itself in Excel, not the green button that was next to it.
Right. Okay. So the thing there is obviously there are some features that may be still rolling out. It could also be the fact that your device isn't set up correctly. So there are two possibilities. Again, like we mentioned, these features that we're displaying are for the business editions. So if you've got a Microsoft 365 business license, as well as the Copilot for Microsoft 365 on top, then you'll have some of these features available, or all of them. They do roll out at different stages. So if it's a newer function, it may be that you don't have it yet. Again, in terms of the setup and stuff, you can reach out and we can talk about that as well off of this meeting.
Cool. Yeah, that might be something I need to do, because yeah, apparently, like I say, I have it, but I don't know. Might not be that I'm signed in fully on it.
No worries. Yeah. Excellent. Any other questions or?
Not from me.
Cool. I think if everyone's happy and they don't have any questions, then we will close this meeting, because I've got another meeting starting in about 5 minutes time. But it's been great talking to everybody today. And obviously, if you have any questions post-meeting, please do reach out to me directly and I'll get back to you on those.
Thanks,
Thank you
everyone.
very much.
See you on the next one.
See you next week. Bye-bye. Bye.